In 1911, the streets of Manhattan pulsed with the chaos of a new century. The clang of trolleys, the cries of vendors, and the distant hum of factories that never seemed to sleep. Among the crowds arriving at Ellis Island that year was a young Sicilian woman named Francesca Spina. She was 22, her eyes weary but alive with purpose. Clutching a worn suitcase, she carried her entire world inside. A few scraps of cloth, a loaf of bread, and a single sewing needle sewn into the hem of her coat. It was her good luck charm, her tool for survival, and a symbol of her unbreakable spirit. Francesca came from a small coastal town near Palermo, where the sea met the hills and opportunities were as scarce as rain in summer. America, she'd been told, was the place where a woman could become her own master, if she was willing to bleed for it. When she stepped onto the streets of Lower Manhattan, she found not golden streets, but grime, smoke, and endless hunger. Families packed into tenements so small the walls sweated in summer. Yet, amid that struggle, Francesca found her place in a sweatshop on Elizabeth Street, where 14 women stitched shirt collars from dawn until the gaslights flickered out. The air inside was thick with ammonia, bleach, and the sound of coughing. The women worked 12-hour days, earning just a few cents for every dozen collars they finished. Some fainted from the heat, others from hunger. Most didn't last a year, but Francesca stayed for 10. She didn't stay because she loved the work. She stayed because other women needed her. When a young girl came in trembling on her first day, Francesca would guide her hands, showing her how to run a clean seam, how to hide a mistake, how to make her stitches straight, even when her eyes blurred from exhaustion. When a foreman refused to hire a woman because she had no experience, Francesca would sew a sample piece herself, hand it over, and tell the woman, "Go show them what you can do." Soon the women began to call her La Maestra, the teacher. By night, she mended clothes for neighbors in her boarding house. When a new mother couldn't afford milk, Francesca took extra garments home from the factory, staying up until sunrise sewing so the woman could collect her day's pay. It was quiet rebellion, kindness as resistance. Then came March 25th, 1911, the day of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. When the news reached Elizabeth Street, Francesca dropped her needle. The factory doors had been locked. 146 workers, almost all young immigrant women, died within minutes. The sky filled with black smoke and screams. Francesca recognized two of the names in the paper, Rosa and Carmela, sisters she had taught to sew on their first day in New York. She walked to the site the next morning, joining the silent crowd outside the burned building. The air smelled of ashes and grief. She prayed quietly, vowing that their deaths would not be in vain. From that day forward, Francesca's sewing circle became more than a class. It became a movement. Women gathered not just to sew, but to speak, plan, and protect one another. They talked about fair pay, about fire escapes, about the right to go home alive. In the dim glow of oil lamps, a quiet revolution took root in her small apartment. By 1922, with her savings hidden inside a tin coffee can, Francesca opened Spina Tailoring, a tiny storefront on Lower Broadway. It was the first Italian-owned women's tailoring shop in that part of the city, and more importantly, it was a refuge. Inside, the air smelled not of bleach, but of starch and hope. Women came from every borough, some just to learn, others to talk. Francesca would serve espresso in chipped cups, mending not just torn fabric, but broken spirits. She hung a small sign above her door that read, "A good stitch can change a life." She never married. Her work was her devotion. Her shop became her family, and through her patience, laughter, and strength, Francesca changed the lives of hundreds of women who went on to earn their independence, one stitch at a time. She died in 1947, her shop still standing, her name forgotten by history books, but whispered by generations of women who once worked beside her. So why did history forget women like Francesca Spina? Maybe because their strength wasn't loud, it was steady. It lived in the rhythm of the needle, the hum of the machine, and the quiet dignity of doing what had to be done. Francesca's story reminds us that change doesn't always march. Sometimes it sows. Do you think we still honor women like her today? Like and subscribe for more Italian American stories that deserve to be remembered.